Hey folks, the purpose of this video is to give you an overview of our synthesis chart assignment. And so this assignment is preparing you for your synthesis essay. It basically will function as an outline. So it is important that you have a good understanding of this. I'm going to walk you through what to focus on and some things to avoid that will help you not only with this synthesis chart, but also with your final synthesis essay. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to go first to the assignment here in Blackboard. So you'll notice here you've got this video here, and at the bottom you've got this synthesis chart. So what I did here is I just clicked here and download original file, and then we'll jump right into that. We'll jump right into that document here. Here we go. Okay, so you'll notice a couple things here. You notice that you've got conversation at the top and umbrella idea. So we're going to start right there. And for the sake of this example, we're going to pretend that we're writing, we're doing a synthesis essay about media. Okay, since last week we read about representation in media. So the conversation's that's very broad. That's your topic, right? The topic is media, right? And you're entering this conversation about media. Very simple. Should be one word for conversation. Let me zoom. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, there we go. All right. So then we get into the umbrella idea. And so the umbrella idea is a little bit more involved than your conversation, your topic, which is media. The umbrella idea is basically your working thesis. So, for example, let's say the working thesis for this one, and this can change, this can revise as you work. This is just kind of where you are at this point. So let's say media is controlled by corporations, so you must be careful how you consume media. And I don't like how it formatted that, but you can kind of see it's got that in there, right? And this is just the sake of an example here. Media is controlled by corporations, so you must be careful how you consume media, all right? So topic is media. Your working thesis here, media is controlled by corporations, so you must be careful how to consume media. So now you get into the chart. So one important thing that is going to help you with this assignment is, and you really need to be careful about, here is what not to do. So when you're writing your essay, what you do not want to do, you don't want to organize your essay, your paragraphs, by source. So for example, you don't want to have your first paragraph talking all about what one article says about media, right? And your second paragraph and third paragraph talking about everything that the next article talks about in relation to media. Then your third, and then at the end you kind of tie together what connections, what things are similar, and what your opinion is on it. That is not the way you want to organize this. That's the reason being that's limited. It's not giving you the chance to really show the depth of connections between your ideas. It's not going to give you the level of depth that you need for this synthesis. So a lot of first year writers do tend to fall into that pattern of organization, but do not do that. Instead, what you want to do is you want to organize your essay by idea, right? So there's an idea that comes up in several essays. So your first paragraph or two is going to be focusing on that idea, right? And bringing in, here's what the sources say about it, here's how they connect, here's where they view it similarly, here's where they view it differently, right? And that gives you a lot more depth to get into and synthesize these ideas. So that's starting off, that's what not to do. And this outline is going to help you with that because you'll notice it's all focused by idea. So let's say the for the sake, we've still got our conversation. We're talking about media. We're talking about how media is controlled by corporations and how you need to be careful how you consume it. So let's say an idea that you've noticed that comes up in your articles is that um, you know uh, ideas. Let's say let's just say media is uh, geared toward general mainstream uh, perceptions. Okay. So that's the idea, right? So what you want to do in this next column, and again, this falls under your thesis or overall idea about media control. And so the gist of the idea, so and the important note here, this is not the gist of the individual sources. This is the gist of the idea overall. So you might say something to the effect of, um, you know, so media uh, is uh, controlled by corporations that have an interest in making sure they have a wide audience. And this causes them to focus on mainstream or more popular perceptions. Okay, so that's the gist of the idea, right? The connections to the umbrella idea. So what you're doing here is you're just describing how this idea is connected to our main idea about media is being controlled. So you might say something to the effect of, and I won't type this out here, but you might say something like, um, this is connected to corporate control because a corporation's interest in putting mainstream ideas out to the public. This can limit, this can limit the uh, ability of non-popular ideas or non-mainstream ideas to be heard. So that might be an idea of how you're connecting it to your overall umbrella idea there. And then in this sources section, this part, you can be really simple here. You can just say, let's say Franco talked about this, right? So you just want to say author last name, page number, say page 2, right? And so, you just enter the author name, right? So author name, page, right? And say 2 or 3 of yours contribute to this idea. Do put the author last name in the page number too, because this will make it really nice when you go in to write your essay. You can go right back in and know exactly where, where your quotes are that are going to support your ideas. So textual examples, or illustrations that support the idea. You can do a direct quote here. So you may say something like, according to the Franco, so Superman used to fight oil barons, now he fights corporations, right? And that's the example that is supporting this idea, right? That media is geared towards mainstream perceptions, right? And then connections to other ideas in the conversation. This is helpful because it forces you to think about how this idea about media being geared towards general mainstream perceptions, where does that, how does that idea come up in other conversations, right? So that will help you kind of synthesize your ideas as you go forward. So, folks, that is the gist of it. That is what you're going to work through here. And just to kind of highlight some of the main ideas here, your conversation, that's the topic, should be one word. Your umbrella idea, that's your working thesis. It can develop, it can change as you work. So it can just be a general thesis, right? And then your ideas are the ideas that are coming up across your sources, right, that are supporting your umbrella idea, right? So how does media control corporations and what are the implications of that, right? And so that's what your ideas are. And then you're just going to go through each step here and connect the dots. So folks, that's the overall approach here of the synthesis chart. If you have any additional questions, feel free to collaborate in the virtual office with each other. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do that as well via email.